I actually initially met Mark Lustig right at the beginning of the lockdown. And I think he actually gave a talk and I stalked him because I wanted some advice and some of that wonderful gems of wisdom he was dropping in the call itself. It took me a while to actually get hold of him because he's a busy man, and he's got lots of things happening, the man doesn't have time for this kind of stuff. So when I finally did manage to get hold of him, I tried to ask him for help as much as I could because this is the beginning of lockdown, no one knew what was happening, and the things that he's helped me on since has been business strategy, pricing strategy, what set up for LinkedIn, when to post, does videos always work better, or are you better off posting things like pictures all the time, all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's bring the main man himself, Mark Lustig, CEO and founder of Doc9. So the main man himself, Mark Lustig, is here. First question, Mark. This is a fancy office. Where do you go for your sandwiches at lunch?
That's a great question. Well, funny enough, we went to a new Japanese restaurant that's open around the corner, and I actually got a free lunch today.
Whoa. Exclusive here.
I'll give you the address after, but yeah, it's all this week actually. I don't know when you're going to put this out, but got a free lunch. They're just opening. I wanted to try out their staff with people. So
this filming is over. So Mark, firstly, I want to say thank you so much for seeing us.
Pleasure.
And I actually looked at my sent emails just before we came over, and I think we actually started this conversation back in November 2020, and I think the first messages were even before that. Firstly, you've helped me a lot, and it's not just in the terms of the advice that you gave in the talk that I think I met you at, the virtual talk, I should say. It was more just general business advice, and you've been in business for the last 13 and a bit years, and the sheer longevity.
Are you calling me old?
No. This is going to be a punch up here. Yeah. Mark knows a lot of people here, so if I disappear tomorrow, I could be in trouble. But you've seen it all and done it all in terms of you've seen the business cycles from a recession time and also seen it through good times and lean times. What has been the things that you've noticed when you've had to deal with your clients and like, for example, your approach to business or your approach to getting new customers, that kind of thing?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's great to meet in person today. Obviously, it's a bit strange in this world, isn't it? I kind of feel like I know you quite well, although we've never actually met before.
Likewise. I've been watching your videos.
I know, but I think that's it shows the value of YouTube and LinkedIn content, and just the reach you can get from doing that. And it's great to finally meet in person. So I guess we're a bit unique in that. So I founded the company in 2008, and if you remember, 2008 was a pretty rocky time in the world economy. So I guess from the beginning, people talk about lean startup and etc. It had to be that way, and the business cycle was a bit tough. But we really identified an opportunity. In the terms of the financial world, we focus primarily on financial services customers. There's a bit of a rocky time, particularly in mortgages, etc., which was quite a key market for us now. And we really identified an opportunity. Through any great crisis or anything sort of big like that, there's always opportunity, isn't there? There's this, unfortunately, there can be this kind of concept of creative destruction in the economy, but that naturally creates sort of opportunities. And we really decided to kind of spin that as our focus as a business. And our focus wasn't necessarily on startups; it was on incumbents that could see the threat that was coming from this change. And over the early years of our company, as fintech started to become more of a thing, we spotted an opportunity really to focus on incumbent players who can see the threats, see the kind of coming threats, but actually have massive benefits. They're not necessarily leveraging in terms of knowledge, know-how, existing customers, but didn't necessarily have weren't leveraging new ways of working, kind of more agile and all the buzzwords like that. So I think identifying those really niche areas to focus on, that's done really well for us.
Do you think that like the question every every entrepreneur has, especially when they're starting off a new business, is like, how do you make the decision between becoming a generalist versus becoming a specialist? And when did you make that decision?
That's a great one. I mean, although virtually all our early customers were in financial services, I was a bit reticent to kind of pitch ourselves just at financial services, because naturally, you're starting a business, you don't want to miss out on an opportunity, do you? And if I look back when there were like 5 of us, and I think we used to pitch ourselves as a full-service digital agency, marketing, branding, kind of websites, etc. I look back and, to be honest, I cringe now. But it got to a moment where I was a bit nervous to kind of necessarily turn down work at that point. You're growing a company, and any work you can get in early days is you'll kind of look to drive in. But what we found was, we had actually developed a real specialism in financial services. Their knowledge and the know-how enabled us to win pitch after pitch within certain sectors. And actually, when we decided, I think about 6 years into the company, to kind of really pitch and really focus how we communicate and say, look, we're a financial services digital innovation agency. And what we found is that as we narrowed our focus, we got bigger and bigger contracts, because people do want specialists. And it's really hard, particularly if you're a smaller upcoming agency, to be a general all things to all people. But I would say that decision had to come when we had enough stability financially it got to a certain point in the company where we could make that move, and it was quite a big move to make, but certainly worked out for us.
In terms of the future, what does the future hold for Doc9? Are we, especially it's very easy to say in these uncertain times, but what are you looking at in the next 2, 3, 5 years? What are you excited about, and what gets you out of bed every morning?
Cool. Yeah. Well, we've got an exciting next step in our journey in that we were acquired.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was at the end of December last year, having had the opportunity to meet and really get to know a company called MagiClick, who are a fantastic agency with part of a team of 160 people now.
Oh, wow.
International team. So in terms of why we did that deal, so it gives us access to a bigger team, more skills around mobile native apps, SharePoint intranets, kind of at a larger scale, which has been great, and we're already seeing the dividends of that new partnership already, which is great.
Fantastic.
So effectively, in terms of us, we're still got that same focus though, on helping, and we're really passionate about helping more traditional industries kind of innovate, adapt and transform. So really excited. One of the big projects we won this year has actually not been in the financial service sector, it's been in the legal sector, which also was a good example of a project we may not have won, hadn't been part of this bigger group. And we kicked off that project recently, and again, there are a number of sectors in the UK that are, that have great opportunities to really change customer experience, and that's ultimately what we're most passionate about, is delivering to the end user, because the business results drive from that.
Fantastic. In terms of, from your side, if there is a 23-year-old watching this who's just started off his or her business, what advice would you give him right now in this current situation?
Wow, that's a big question. I guess the obvious joke was made, don't do it, but which I don't believe. If I think back at the origins of the company, it's not easy. No one should say it's easy to start a company. It's bloody hard work. Like, you got to put in the hours. You're wearing many hats, and with the best will in the world, no matter what advice you take, it is going to be a hard slog. There's going to be tough moments, and through grit and just kind of getting through it, really. Those early challenges you get through. So that energy you have when you're youthful, I think, is obviously of huge benefit, and something I certainly sensed from you when we first had a chat about your business. So advice, apart from staying young.
Stay young, or lie about your age, I guess.
It's a bit random, but something I've found over the last couple of years, it is easy to get bad habits with your health, with your well-being, to get too fixated on the business. And early on, before I was married, before I had children, obviously you could dedicate so much time to the business, but sometimes to the detriment of other areas in your life, your health, or people talk about mental well-being nowadays and things like that. So factoring in and making sure you have a routine, exercising in nature is a big thing that works really well for me. Eating healthy, focusing ultimately your body is producing this output. So it sounds a bit strange, but don't get so fixated on the business. You need to focus on you as a holistic being, I guess, would be my more esoteric answer.
Wow, thank you so much for your time, Mark. How can people get hold of you if they wanted to reach out to you or contact you or ask you for advice?
Yeah, well, the best place, I guess, is on LinkedIn. So if I've got a fairly unique surname, Lusted. So if you heard Mark Lusted, I think there's only a couple of us in the world. Or look up doc9.com or magiclick.com, which is our new parent company. So yeah, certainly keen to meet new people. So feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, Mark. And from a very sunny and hot Leadenhall Market, from a very sunny Leadenhall Market Street, it's goodbye from Suds and from Mark, and we hope to see you in the next episode.